It's Tuesday, February 8th, 7 o'clock, and the Park Commission will come to order. First item is roll call. Mary, will you conduct the roll call for us, please?
Chair David Downs.
Here.
Vice Chair Jason Branch.
Here.
Elizabeth Wyveen.
Here.
Georgianne Keyport.
Here.
Zach Saressig.
Here.
Danielle Higheye.
Here.
Carly Sitch.
Here.
Thanks, Mary. Accept the agenda is our next item, item number 3. Are there any comments, changes, suggestions for the agenda? Hearing none, can we have a motion to accept?
Motion.
Jason motions. Second?
Second.
Second, Elizabeth. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those against, say nay. The agenda is adopted. Item 4 is our visitors presentation. I see no visitors. Do we have any visitors online? Apparently not.
Doesn't
We
appear
will
to be.
close the visitor presentation section. And before we get to, well, we'll do the next item too. The approval of the Park and Recreation Commission January 11th minutes. Any comments, corrections, suggestions? Hearing none, can we have a motion for acceptance?
Motion to accept.
Carly motions, second.
Second.
Jason seconds. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Minutes adopted. And item 6A and 6B, the minutes to the City Council meeting of December 20th and the planning minutes of December 8th. Are there any comments, suggestions, questions concerning those minutes, other than the one was ungodly long? Did you see the time that they shut that down?
No.
12:21.
I think they took a recess. too,
Yeah, there
didn't
was
they?
a recess in there too.
I have a question for Marshall. I believe it was at the city council meeting where land behind a bunch of homes off of Highwood Drive was absolved or was determined to go back to the homes. Do you have any idea what that originally had been planned for?
Remind me where this was.
This is in Highwood Drive over by the, across from the fire station. There was a strip of land behind a whole slew of homes in a cul-de-sac that I believe it was brought forth to add that to the properties, and it was park land that belonged to the city. I was curious if you knew what that originally had been intended for, why there was this.
I think there might have been the thought of adding a trail back in there, and then we realized it wasn't needed anymore. So I think they just basically gave it back over to the landowners.
I'm satisfied my curiosity. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, we'll accept the minutes from the council and planning boards. Prior to the action items, Marshall, you wanted to give us an introduction for the new members that we've got coming on board?
Yeah, I wanted to give everybody an update on where we're at with the Park and Rec Commission, because the city council met last night and made their official appointments for this year. So with that, Dave Downs, you'll continue as the chair, and Jason Branch will continue as the vice chair. So that got approved through the consent agenda. And then our new commission, well, actually, take that back, not new yet. Reappointment of Elizabeth Wyveen. So she'll start another 3-year term. So thank you for continuing to serve on the commission. And then welcoming 2 new commissioners. We've got Michael Hauer and then Terry Schwerm. And Terry is with us in the audience tonight. But those 2 will plan to reach out and set up a meeting. I'll probably set that up with the chair and the vice chair sometime between tonight and our next meeting in March, just to welcome them and bring them up to speed with the projects we have going on. And then we still do have a vacancy for our youth representative. We are working with the school. I believe there is some interest there. We're just still kind of waiting on receiving those applications to come in. So it's our intent to still actively try to bring on a youth representative as soon as we can.
Mary, can you do something for us along those lines? The roster that we've got with all the contact information, will you update that for us, please?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, thanks. Thank you, Marshall. It'll be nice to get to a full council again, so looking forward to it. Okay, we have an action item to recommend consultant for the community center master plan architectural services. You want to go through that for us, please, Marshall?
Yes, so last meeting, I had shared with you kind of the process that, you know, with the RFP and our pre-proposal meetings we had, and which concluded to receiving two proposals out of that process. We ended up getting those from two really good architectural firms, HGA, along with Perkins and Will. And so both of those proposals were included in your packet for your review. But since the last meeting, from there, a group of city staff on the project management team served as sort of the interview committee. And that committee included Aaron Link, our recreation program manager, Kelsey McNutt, our community center manager, Mary Monteith, Matt Podorowski, our city administrator, Nick Hartwig, who is our foreman in our building maintenance department over at Public Works, along with myself. And so we interviewed HGA back on Friday, January 28th, and then Perkins and Will was on Monday, January 31st. I'd say both interviews went really well. They both have a lot of great things to offer, both very respectable in their fields. However, once the interviews were concluded, it was a unanimous decision amongst this the city staff interview team to move forward with recommending Perkins and Will as sort of the best fit for our master plan. And like I had mentioned in our previous meeting, the proposals were actually pretty similar in terms of price and, you know, scope and timeline and things like that. So we were really kind of honing in on who we think would be the best fit and who we think would be a good architect to work with. But a little bit more about Perkins and Will. They've been in business since 1935. They have 25 studios across the globe. Fast Company actually named them as one of the world's most innovative companies in architecture. So they're a highly regarded architectural firm. We primarily be working with the staff that are located out of their Colorado and Minneapolis studios. Chris Kostelik, he would be the project lead. He's out of the Colorado office. He has 20 years of experience, and this is all he's done is recreation and athletic facilities throughout his career, and worked on several projects across the country. John Slack would serve as the community engagement facilitator, and he's got a wealth of experience facilitating.
Is he also out of Colorado?
He's out of the Minneapolis office, yep. And he was actually brought in by Learning Links back when the city of Chaska was planning our barrier-free golf course, the former par 30 that's now called the Loop. So that company actually reached out and contacted John Slack just because of his ability to facilitate. And it was kind of interesting because that came through in the interview, and I had sort of forgotten, but once he mentioned it, it was like I recognized him from participating in that meeting. He said when he got the call, he had no idea, had nothing to do with the project, but he was happy to come in and facilitate. And I remember he had done a really good job.
What does a facilitator do?
really just the person at the front of the room really kind of
Engages in the
engaging,
different groups, though.
engaging the participants and, you know, making sure everybody's participating and their ideas are heard and things like that, so. So he'll bring a lot of great experience and I think really do a good job of connecting with our community and getting the various stakeholder groups involved throughout the process. Another really big component that Perkins and Will brings is the sub-consultant that they're bringing on board, which is Ballard, King and Associates. And they're really highly regarded in the park and rec industry as kind of one of the top consultants when it comes to market analysis and really kind of looking into operations and what it costs, you know. And so Jeff King, one of the owners, he'll be a part of this project. He was actually in the interview. You know, and I think he said one of the best comments. He's like, not only do we need to help you understand what it's going to cost for your improvements, but we need to understand how much it's going to cost to own it and operate it going forward. You know, and I think that's a critical component of this master plan is making sure that we really understand what those costs are and then how can we make sure we're set up to be sustainable into the future. And Jeff King with Ballard and King, he's really worked with John Kostelic from Perkins and Will for 20 plus years. So they got a great working relationship and he'll be involved throughout the project. So with that is, you know, kind of some of the background with our reasoning behind the recommendation. And so that's our recommendation to the Park Commission. And I'll just turn it over to see what questions or thoughts you may have.
I was really impressed with the proposal that they sent in. I mean, it was really thorough and detailed and very specific to our needs. It wasn't, I was afraid it was going to be another just boilerplate thing with a couple of fill-in-the-blanks along the way, but it was very specific to what we needed and what we were looking for. I was duly impressed.
Yeah. Yeah, I can tell too that they really took the information that we provided throughout the pre-proposal meeting and when we took them on a tour. And it's like they definitely picked up and understood what it was, you know, we're trying to look at, and I think that came through in their proposal.
Did they give us, I didn't read their proposal, did they give like some specific, just ideas of, hey, here's something you might consider? And did they take that kind of approach to it, or?
Can I offer one that stuck with me? How many entrances we have to the community center. I have not been able to stop thinking about how many entrance points there are, and they brought that up as there's no great like atrium area where everybody kind of funnels in and creates this sense of we're now at the community center. It's just but they did call out that the senior area, like the lodge, it makes sense to have a separate entrance, but
Sure.
all the doors.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting too, all the different specifics that they said they were going to look into is the mechanicals for the pool and, you know, the different systems and that, as well as the future systems of what we're going to need. So it was very good. It was really good.
So you mentioned that they actually between the two groups were quite equal, but this particular group just seemed to fit better. What characteristics about them do you think made the team group decide that?
Yeah, I think for us, it really comes down to, I think Perkins and Will, just their experience with the scope of the community center, and the number of projects they've done similar to that around the country.
Okay, as compared to the other group,
As
just
compared to
didn't
the
do
other
as
one.
many.
Yep.
Okay.
I think we really connected with John Slack, their community engagement person, you know, which he's going to play a key role in this project. And then again, just the Ballard King element as part of the project.
Marshall, did they give you an idea of how many projects that they work are ground up new builds versus like remodel of existing shells?
Yeah, I mean, we had asked those questions in the interviews, I mean, and they both have experience with both. You know, but yeah, there's obviously some inherent differences working with a remodel versus just a new build.
But your team felt really comfortable with their answers related to remodeling an existing facility?
Oh, yeah, yep, yep. And that's what I like about their approach, and this kind of came through in their proposal is, you know, I think they really look at the functionality and how to make things multi-purpose and how we can easily kind of transition from different activities. Thinking about, you know, location of storage and things like that. And that was a big thing that I was really trying to portray in the pre-proposal is, you know, while design is great, you know, I prefer a little more functionality ahead of, you know, aesthetics. And also, you know, we got to come out of this with an implementable plan, you know, and just be mindful of the cost.
Any other comments or questions?
I have one last question. Isn't it to code now that that facilities of that size have to have like basically an indestructible bomb shelter type area for weather events? Does the community center have something like that? Or is that something we're gonna have to, like, if we touch the building, retrofit a space to meet that need? Does that question make sense?
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess I'm not exactly sure what that code is. But yeah, typically if that code is indeed required, as soon as we start a major renovation projects, we would need to bring it up to code.
Okay.
So we have to look into that.
I was at a meeting last night where we talked about a new field house that's being built, and that was one of the points, like, and here is our basic bomb shelter, and here's how we're gonna use it when it's not being used as a weather facility. And so I was curious if it's like the old houses, you touch one pipe, you have to bring everything up to code like that or not, so.
Yep, same thing with like ADA compliance and things like that.
Sure.
So,
Okay.
but that's all a good thing. We want to be up to code.
Yeah. Am I the only one hearing echo here? There's like this massive
Yeah, there's
echo here.
over there.
Every time somebody talks, there's just like
And
this
they do.
massive echo back here.
It's you.
Yeah, I thought did I drink something funny?
If there's no further discussion or questions or anything, can we have a motion to recommend the city council to authorize the staff to enter into the service agreement with Perkins and Will?
I so move.
I
Georgianne?
second. I'll second.
Danielle, seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes unanimously. Great. Going on to the next item, Community Center Master Plan Update.
All right, so really with this item, I just wanted to give an update on where we stand with the creation of the Citizen Task Force. So that's kind of the next piece that we're putting together here. So as you recall, there's going to be representation from the Park Commission. We've got Danelle and Zach that will represent, and then we've got council members Taylor Hubbard and John Graw are going to be the representatives. Todd Urbanski from the Planning Commission is going to be the representative, and then Mr. Hubbard from the Human Rights Commission will be the representative. So that'll kind of be our commission and council representatives. Then we've got 2 representatives from the school district. We've got the director of community education, along with a member of the school board that will be serving on the Citizen Task Force. And then, as you recall, we had promoted the opportunity for community members to apply to be on the Citizen Task Force. And so we ended up receiving 36 applications,
Wow.
Which was great. So there's 8 positions that will be communities positions. And 4 of those will be community center members, and then 4 of them will be non-members. And so what we'll do is, the process to make that selection, we're going to include Danelle and Zach along with the council member representatives, Taylor and John, and then city administrator Matt Podorowski and myself. So I just actually sent all that information out this afternoon. So our task now is to rate the applications, and then we'll likely bring in 16 of the applicants, 8 members and 8 non-members, and conduct an interview. And then we'll have to kind of determine what our recommendation will be from there back to the city council for 4 each. So kind of the way this is lining up is your recent recommendation of Perkins and Will as the architect, along with the recommendation that that committee will be making for the citizen task force appointments will go to the city council at their next meeting on February 28th. So once those are all in place, we'll really be able to kind of launch and start to set up some of our initial meetings with the architect. And then, as you recall, the construction management company we're working with is RJM, and so they'll be a part of that process as well. We're on schedule.
It's really going to get off the ground.
Yeah.
That'll
Yep.
be good.
It's fun seeing all those applications.
Yeah.
Like some people really put a lot of thought into what they wrote.
Yeah. And one thing I'd point out is we did not get a youth applicant within there, and so I am actively going to continue to try to recruit a youth, and it might even be a situation where it's an additional person onto the task force, but I think that's going to be important to have a youth on there.
Any further discussion on the community center master plan? We will move on to the next item. Review and comments of the Frenz and Worm Properties Concept Plan.
All right. So with this item, it's a review of a concept plan that's been submitted to the city. And what I wanted to do is take the time to discuss the open space and preservation components with you. This concept plan will be going before the Planning Commission tomorrow night, and then to the City Council on the 28th for their approval. As a reminder, just a reminder on the process for developments and how the city approaches that, it's really a 3-step process. So it always starts with the concept plan, and then from there it moves into a preliminary plan and then a final plan. And all 3 of those phases go through the Planning Commission and then the City Council for approval. And with us tonight on the Zoom call is Stefan Gardner, and he is with the Forrester Group, which is the developer. And so he's here to listen to our discussion and field any questions we may have about this open space area. So next what I'll do, I'm just going to switch over and share my screen so I can pull up some of the images to walk through this with you. Just give me a second. Well, for some reason, I'm not able to share my screen. Would one of you be able to see if Michelle is in the back room there and able to give me permission to share my screen?
She just made you the co-host.
Yeah, it looks like the
Oh, maybe
highlighted
she
box
just
is
did.
around. Needs to switch.
Got it.
Okay.
Thanks, Danelle.
You're fast.
All right. Let's see if this works here. Okay. Is everybody able to see that? So just to kind of create the regional context of where we're talking about here, it would be the area outlined in the red, which is just east of Highway 212 and north of Chaska Boulevard there. And it contains two landowners, which would be the Frenz and the Worm property.
What's there currently? Is it just green space or?
Yep. And so this is really depicting what's kind of the land use that is in the 2040 comprehensive city plan, to give you an idea of kind of where this development area is and then some of the surrounding areas. So again, you can see that outlined red area is where this development is occurring. And then north of there, as you recall, we went on the visit last summer, is where the future community park will be. So just for context, that is just north of this development. And then in the blue area there, where my cursor is, that's where the future elementary school is slated. And so that's 6.2 acres that is owned by the school. And then the future right-of-way, this 6.2 acres really just refers to the road. So as you recall, currently, there's a roundabout up here on the north side that intersects Big Woods Boulevard, and then Savannah Way goes to the north, where there'll be a future neighborhood park that we also visited. So the intention here is this Savannah Way is going to continue down to the south into the future.
So all the red area to the east of that park is going to be developed?
Yep, so that is zoned for mixed residential. And kind of this area here where I'm circling, and then along this eastern edge of the park, there's already a development that's come in through to the city, a concept plan. So some of this is already starting to occur. And then down here with the Frenz and Worm property, it's zoned for low-density residential. And so they've submitted a concept plan to the city for that. But you can see within this area, this light green is zoned for open space. And that really, within there is a large wooded area that's referred to as the Big Woods, okay?
Actual big woods, because that's a specific like ecosystem.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
perfect. That's
Yep.
awesome. Good.
So when I actually, because, is everybody here familiar with what the Big Woods are?
Oh,
Okay, so I actually printed a little background on it. And I'm going to read it because I think it's good for us to understand what this area is and the meaning behind it. And then I'm guessing Carly can probably even add to it. So this is taken from Brian Haynes, who's the executive director of McLeod County Historical Society. Okay. So the Big Woods was a vast hardwood forest broken up with small pieces of prairie land that stretched from central Wisconsin to south and central Minnesota. It consisted of elm, basswood, sugar maple, and red oak. Only small remnants of the Big Woods remain unaltered today, but 200 years ago, it was a vast piece of wilderness that spanned more than 5,000 square miles. My understanding is about like 100 miles long by about 40 miles wide. The Big Woods was vital to survival in the North Country for centuries prior to modern times. A natural geographical divide, the region abounded with wild animals and edible plants, and because of this was a disputed region between the Dakota and Ojibwe in the state. When white settlers came to Minnesota in the mid-19th century, the Big Woods Divide was one of the most sought-after areas. It offered wild game, large stands of timber for building, and areas of rich farmland. It's no wonder that towns such as Hutchinson and Glencoe flourished because of their locations along the edge of this geographic feature. Today, as we drive through the countryside from one city to another, it's all too easy to forget that we are driving through an area that was once a large part of the Minnesota frontier, an area as ancient as the earth itself, and an area that was once known as the Big Woods. And so today, most of this region has been cleared for agriculture and urban development. But it's my understanding this area we're talking about here is one of the larger remaining remnants of the Big Woods. And so it's kind of been the city's position all along, you know, to consider this as an open space that we want to preserve. So that's kind of the context on the land use, and so next what I'll do is bring us over to look at the concept plan.
What is the acreage of that Big Woods that's left? Do you have that offhand?
It's right around
42 acres.
42 acres.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Yep. So here's the concept plan that was included in your packet. And so just kind of walking through it a little bit, between the two landowners, the entire development area is right around 128 acres. And you can see there where this Big Woods area is. And so throughout, or kind of one of the things that we have the ability to do to help preserve this Big Woods area is there's kind of a few things going on. First of all is we can take the park dedication as land rather than cash. You know, so in this situation, you know, the city's intent is to take it in land. And currently, it's showing as 10 acres. And, you know, and this isn't exact quite yet. We still need to figure out the specifics. Because if it's 128 acres, it would actually be closer to like 12.8, 13 acres in total. But you can see where generally with that park area, we want to make sure we're positioning it on the northern section of this area so that it's abutting the existing parkland that the city already owns to the north, along with this segment over here to the east of it. Okay. Also within this Big Woods area, there's several wetlands and steep slopes. And so those get preserved just because they're undevelopable. And those don't get considered as part of the parkland, just because they don't really function as parks either, okay? But what's remaining is estimated to be about 32 acres. And so that's kind of where we need to get a little creative with how we're going to be able to preserve and acquire that acreage. So one thing just to note is when this goes before the Planning Commission at their meeting tomorrow night, one of the conditions for approval of the concept plan will be a provision that the city and the developer have entered into a letter of agreement or a letter of intent regarding the transfer of their property designated as open space and preservation prior to the preliminary plan submittal to the city. So that'll be that'll be built in as a condition upon approval, that, you know, we're going to enter into a letter of intent with the developer to basically have more conversation about how we would preserve this, this area.
I have a question. So if I understand correctly, the intention is for the city to eventually own as much of the preserved woods of 32 acres as possible. And right now, we will be talking about what we can do for park dedication, but eventually the city's intention is to own all of the preserved woods.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. And so then what we'll be looking into is looking into opportunities for grants through legacy grants and DNR and, you know, any other grants that may be available. We think there's, you know, historical value here and regional interest where we could be successful in getting some grants to help purchase that remaining acreage.
I would say that from what I've remember from the state funding is that they're really interested in acquisition, so I think that it would be totally possible to go after state funding too for that, especially with like LCCMR and like funding.
Okay.
And outdoor heritage as well. That seemed to be like trending, that they're more interested in helping cities with acquisitions.
Great. Good to know.
Yeah, fun stuff.
But when the land is preserved or like that, there's still opportunities for paths and trails through that area as long as we're not doing damage to it, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's where we see
So that
some.
would be excellent to be able to take the community park and extend it through paths and trails through that area, particularly if it's 100-year-old oak in there. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah,
Pump track?
a huge plaque, that story that you just told on it. Because if anybody wants to turn any part of that part of property into residential, after hearing what you just said, no thanks.
I think that's our next field trip destination.
Absolutely,
Yeah, I'd love to go out there.
absolutely.
Yeah, and I mean, and I think part of the equation here that, you know, we're going to have to realize is, you know, what if we don't get the grant funding, you know, and what if we need to look at other financing mechanisms to acquire this land, you know, could mean that we need to now look into some of our park development fund, you know, and so what does that mean? And so it starts to become a little bit of a prioritization exercise because we don't, as a city, just have unlimited resources. But I don't think that's really a discussion for tonight. I think the main thing I want to get across is our intent as we stand today is to preserve this area and to work with the developer and what that can look like. And I think for you as the Park Commission to really show your support for this intent going forward, really along with the Planning Commission and the City Council's support, helps strengthen our application when we do go pursue these grants, knowing that, you know, everybody's behind it and the community's behind it.
I have two quick questions. One is, does the developer give some sort of good guy discount to municipal bodies trying to acquire land for these means? And then what does an acre of land go for in Chaska these days? Is it $1,000? Is it $10,000? What does it cost?
Depends on the use, and if there's utilities.
I think this is so unique and it's such sloped that it would be so difficult to put homes on it that the pricing of something like that would be pretty difficult.
Yeah, I mean, I think acreage is valued differently, you know, there's a lot of variables that go into the value of it, so I don't know the exact
Maybe
amount,
Stefan does.
but-
I have a question then, Stefan. If the city was not interested in purchasing any of the protected woods, how many more lots would DR Horton have looked at adding?
Well, I mean, this is, you know, from a standpoint here, it's about 45 lots reduced on the buildable area that is within Big Woods. There is area, obviously, the ravine area that is not. But, you know, one of the advantages with the city, like the commissioner was saying, with trails and paths, it is surprisingly flat throughout most of there. So as far as the trail system, it will be, you know, a nice layout. It's not unusable by any means.
So you felt there was opportunity for 40 more lots if the city had not expressed intent to purchase?
Yeah, I believe the original plan was somewhere in the 248 units. I'd have to look back at my original concept plan.
Okay, thank
that
you.
was drawn.
A question I have is, what's the condition of the woods? Is there a lot of buckthorn and other invasive species like honeysuckle or anything? I'm assuming there is.
There's some scrub in there, but the city did, I know that Matt and Nate and Kevin Ringwald and I believe Matt Clark was with them as well. Marshall, I don't know if you joined them, but they did walk it this last spring. I had it staked for them and they went and walked through it. So I'm sure they've got you know, video or photo documentation as well that could probably be shared.
I would also say that Big Woods does tend to have species of special concern. And in that regard, then it would be even more of a greater push to preserve it. And I think then you could also have some legal issues if it were to get developed. Just to that particular, because, yeah, there's a lot of like really good understory species.
Or like a seminary fen.
Yeah,
You know, I don't know what's in that area, but
yeah.
very true.
Okay, is it sufficient, Marshall, for us to just have in our minutes that we support the effort to preserve that area? Or is there some other communications that needs to go to the city
Yeah.
council?
No, that's sufficient.
Are you doing the concept plan? Is that what's being presented tomorrow? You said there were 3 steps?
Yep, so
This
this
the
is
first
just the
step?
concept level. So really kind of high level review. And so that'll go before the planning commission, you know, for them to make their recommendation to the council tomorrow night.
Okay, are we done with item number 8B? Moving on to item 8C, facility naming rights and sponsorship update.
Thanks, Stefan.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thanks,
you being on
Stefan.
tonight.
Appreciate it.
All right, so facility naming rights and sponsorship, that went before the city council last night. So your recommendation of utilizing the superlative group went before them, and we also had prepared the professional services agreement within the council packet for them to be able to authorize us to move forward with that agreement. And as you recall, we had worked with our city attorneys back and forth to get that to a position that we were comfortable with. So that got discussed at council meeting last night. I think we had a really great discussion. You know, and some of the key things I picked up on, because I think there's definitely, you know, a level of concern, you know, when you start talking about naming rights and sponsorship and what some of those details might end up being, and some of the unknowns that come with it at this point. And so it's kind of the sense of maintaining Chaska's identity, I think came through in the discussion last night, along with council just making sure that that they're hearing from the community throughout this process, so they have a good understanding of how the community feels about this as we proceed. But like we shared with them, really the first part of this is really information gathering. It's the whole valuation component of it, where Superlative would send a team of staff out and really take a look at the various assets that we would have define and have them look at. And then they spend time really, you know, utilizing their expertise in generating what the value of each of those assets could be, you know. And so in the end, we'll get a report that outlines all that, and it's at that point where it would be another discussion with city council on whether or not to proceed, you know. And even at that point, it more than likely doesn't mean we would proceed with everything that they evaluated. We just want to make sure that while they're here, let's go ahead and evaluate the entire system so we get the big picture. But from there, we can decide to just start with, you know, one or two things or whatever it may be. Or at that point, they might decide, you know what, this doesn't, it's not enough value in our opinion, and it was a good exercise, but we're just going to hold put. So that's certainly an option for them as well. But I think overall there was general excitement to, you know, move ahead and see what our opportunities are. And like we had talked about, I think the fact that we haven't done a lot of this in the past, you know, we have this kind of luxury of working with a clean slate and kind of going about it strategically and mindfully and doing it tastefully and all that. So, so in the end, they ended up approving the motion. It was unanimous, 5-0 vote. Anything else to add, Dave? I know you were there.
No, I think, you know, all the concerns that we had in the initial discussions were discussed there, and it's, you know, when you start saying naming rights, you get this thing of, you know, we're gonna have a name tag on everything in the city, and it's just everything is gonna go downhill, and all the community center and event center is gonna go to hell in a handbasket, you know. But, you know, they all got past that and realized that, you know, we can all dream up things, but until we get the numbers and the analysis, we won't really know what we're talking about. And if we can start off, I think if we can start off and show the community how we can improve things by doing this, not just make money off it, you know, it can really be successful for us, so. I think it's great we're going forward with this thing, and in not too distant future, we'll have a pretty good handle on what we're talking about,
Yeah.
so.
I
That'll be good.
think it's that whole concept of not doing something to the community, it's something for the community.
Right.
Excited to see where it goes.
Yep. Yeah, and we'd shared with them kind of our, you know, our thought all along would be that we think the logical place to start would be the curling and event center. I think that's just got a lot of prestige with that facility. It's got a lot of, you know, regional and out-of-state draw. And it's also, you know, we have the desire to expand the Players Lounge. You know, I think that's something over the 5 years we've learned that is kind of a critical component that impacts our ability to, you know, even improve upon the different bonspiels and different events that we host, and maybe minimize some of the overflow and kind of competing services within the Crooked Pint. So that ability to add on the Players Lounge across the entire sheets of ice would be a really good benefit. And so looking at this as a potential revenue source that could help fund facility improvement like that without impacting taxpayers' dollars, I think is something that we can strategically look at. One thing we talked about too is one of the things that we'll be doing as part of the community center master plan is conducting a statistically valid survey out in the community. And so I think we could be strategic in asking some questions that kind of get to some of the naming rights and sponsorship, along with probably some other ways to engage the community, but that might be another way where we can kind of glean some information from the community. Because we'll want to kind of consider that for the community center at some point as well. But yeah, I guess the next steps, I already reached out to the superlative group this afternoon, and we're going to look to try to line up a meeting sometime next week, just to kind of get our ducks in a row and get things moving. Likely we'll assemble a project team for this as well. So I know Dave and Zach, you were a part of the interview process. So if you'd like to continue, I think that would be great. I'd probably.
You're going to be on the community center though, right? So.
Yeah, we'll leave it up to Zach if we're stretching him too much or not, but you're welcome to continue or be a part of this project team. But I'll also probably be working with Matt Podorowski to have a city council member or two be a part of the project team as well.
Good.
Nice.
So we'll just probably continue to have this as a regular agenda item so I can keep you updated throughout the progress of this project.
Moving on to item 8D, the pedestrian and bicycle master plan update. Is that Elizabeth?
Yep. So contrary to what Marshall and I had shared last month, we won't be hosting an in-person open house in February. We will instead be having one online where we will have the finalized project out there on the city's website. Right now, everything is on walkbikechaska.org, but Kevin Wright in our communications team is working on transitioning that content over to the city's website, where it will be available for 30 days for public comment and review. And I just don't know yet, and correct me if I'm wrong, Marshall, that we just don't have that start date yet available as to when it will be.
Correct, yeah, I think it'll just be a little bit predicated on kind of Kevin's Wright's ability to get that information transferred over to the city's website.
And then in addition to that, we'll have posters available around the community with a QR code that you can scan, and then that'll take you right to the site as well. So you can share that with all your friends and try and get as many people looking at that and reviewing it as we had initially probably provide comment. We had over 1,000 people visit that site and provide comment and take this questionnaire. So hopefully, this online event will be as successful as it was in the beginning. I don't know, Marshall, do you have anything further?
Yeah, just kind of to go with that, some of the marketing behind it is we're going to reach out to some of the participants on the project steering committee and ask them to do short videos, just kind of encouraging people to go to the city's website and review the draft of the plan, maybe speak to the different 6 E's approach that is part of the plan. So that'll be kind of a fun way through social media to have some videos out there and encourage people to go to the site. And then additionally, when people get to the site, Antonio, the consultant we're working with, he's also going to be producing some short videos that will live on the website where the draft plan is, which will essentially be kind of short recaps of what the different chapters are about. So I think that'll be a nice way for people to get a sense of the plan, maybe without having to read, 120-some pages that it is. But then there'll be that ability on the website for people to make comment. So we kind of think these efforts, should ideally produce as much, if not maybe even more, community engagement than putting all those efforts into hosting a single in-person open house event. Because some of our concern was the marketing leading up to that, there's still some COVID concerns and things out there, so.
Another, I think, important piece to remember is this is just kind of the master plan and what's available to us. This is not saying this is what we're gonna do. So I feel like there's still gonna be a lot more work after this plan is out there saying, okay, from this plan, this is what we want to focus on, this is what we want to, spend our efforts, spend our dollars, and execute. So there'll probably be, potentially additional opportunities out there for public comment or review. So this isn't just an end-all, be-all, and this is what we're gonna do, and it stops there. So I feel good about that. Just that, it's online and some, I think everything's better in person, but I think this is a good option too, because some people like to do things online versus in person, but there will be many more opportunities, I think, down the line to provide insight, comment, and feedback.
Good. Sounds like things are all moving. Okay, department happenings, Marshall.
All right, so just run through some exciting things going on in the department here. So this weekend, over at the Curling and Event Center, we'll be hosting another Bonspiel. It's the mixed Bonspiel. It was slated to be a 24-team Bonspiel. We ended up getting 18 teams. So still a pretty good turnout. It actually lends itself to a pool play type of bracket where we can divide it into three pools. And so staff are going to be putting together, are putting together a Olympic sort of theme throughout this Bonspiel event this weekend. So if you got time, I encourage you to go over there and check out some fun curling over there. Within our adaptive programming, we got a pizza and dance party for ages 6+ occurring on February 25th. We're going to be putting on a youth dodgeball tournament with pizza on February 21st, which is a no school day. That's available for ages 12 to 17. On February 18th, we're going to host a cosmic skate over at the ice arena. That'll be from 7:15 to 8:30. Super fun. It's, glow in the dark and music and all that. During the month of March, we'll be putting on the Iron Fit incentive. So there's a swim, bike, and run challenge that people can participate in and earn a prize. We got the Adult Co-Rec Volleyball League starting on February 17th for ages 18+. An Indoor Pickleball Ladder League starting on February 13th. The Arts Consortium is going to be hosting a youth art show through March 2nd, and there's a reception occurring at the community center on February 17th. And then there's going to be Sunday Fun Day at Fireman's Park on February 20th. That'll be with ice sculptures, ice skating, DJ, bonfires, and all that. So.
Did you say volleyball or volleyball?
Volleyball.
What is volleyball?
That is basically within the racquetball courts. You put up a net, so it's just kind of a different kind of micro version of volleyball in a way.
Same amount of players?
Yep,
Or?
2-on-2 usually.
Okay.
Yep,
You can hit it off the wall over the net.
yeah,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, that's fun.
yeah. Something new to try.
Yeah, for someone, yeah.
So it's fun sharing those things, because I mean, our staff just put a ton of time and effort into putting together all these opportunities and just the variety of things we offer through our department. You know, I'm always even just amazed and so proud of our staff. So just encourage people to get out and recreate and do fun things with family and get outside. Plenty of things to do.
That's it?
That's it for me. Yep.
Board comments? We'll start at this end.
I finally got to reach out to Brent, and so I'm going to do a tour of all of the different projects around the city that they, like natural resource type projects. So that should be fun, you know? I'm excited.
Awesome. My family's been going to open swim, and I just want to comment on how awesome and professional the lifeguard staff are. When so many places are short-staffed, I was shocked at how attentive and present, and it seemed like all of the lifeguard staff were having fun, enjoying being there. I mean, they're spending their Friday night watching not so great behaved children sometimes run around. I mean, there's a lot of correction that's needed, but I mean, I didn't know what to expect, and really, the staff is fantastic.
Great, thank you.
Zach?
Yeah, the last 3 Fridays at the community center have been nuts. There's been just tons of people there. And to Donnell's point, a few years ago, the lifeguard staff, it seemed like they were like the fun police and just like blowing the whistle every 5 minutes and just like seemed like they were just getting stressed and aggravated. I get it. I've got 3 young kids, I get it. But watching them in a situation that's high stress, they're doing a great job. And they just see they're calm, they're not like, you know, raging out because there's so much stuff going on. They're just trying to take care of what's going on and keep an eye on everybody swimming in the pool, and it's been a lot of fun. And Rebecca that works at the front desk has been just awesome. Just constant people up there, and she's just so good at like, you know, keeping everything under control, it feels like. But my daughters and I tried ice skating at the arena last Sunday, and that was awesome. Really enjoyed that. First time I've been on skates in like 25 years. But
You stayed up?
what's that?
You stayed up?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's, and it was just I had one daughter who, my 11-year-old went into it. She's, the day before we'd gone to her friend's ice hockey game, and so she was all about, Dad, we're gonna go ice skating tomorrow, and I'm gonna join hockey. And we went skating, and she got in about 45 minutes into it. She comes up to me and she says, Dad, I'm really rethinking this hockey. I don't think hockey's for me. So, but it was great getting to do it. The gentleman who does the Zamboni, I see him at the community center all the time working out. He's such a nice gentleman, but it was great seeing him in action. Like, all right, they get all the kids off the ice. He comes out there at the Zamboni, and they get ready for the next activity when free skating stopped. But it was fun to get to be able to partake in that and see that part of the community center in action firsthand. So that was really cool. A lot of people out there too. A lot of people on Sunday afternoon out there. So that's all I got.
Jason?
I just wanted to say, super great time to have the opportunity to sit in the chairs that we have. I mean, there is so many great things that are going to have such an impact on the community and I just wanted to express my gratitude to each one of you for taking the time to do this, and our new members, Terry, you included. We have an exciting time coming up, and I think the group that we have here, along with the amazing group, Marshall and Mary, I have over at the community center, I'm just super excited for what's to come. So that's all I have.
That's great. Elizabeth?
I'm looking forward to Sunday Fun Day, February 20th. I went last year when they had the ice sculptures up, and that was really fun to walk around and then, you know, stop in at the Crooked Pine afterwards for a beverage, something to eat. So I'm just looking forward to that. And then I also read that there's a gnome hunt out and available, and I just thought that sounded so cute. It's this like little garden gnome, and he, I think, hops to various parks, so that would be a great challenge for people who are not familiar with all the city and neighborhood parks. So I think that started the 7th, was that yesterday? And then goes through March 6th. And I think every Monday at 9 a.m. on the community center's Facebook page, they post the next known clue. So, on that note, I'm not a Facebook person, so then I was like, oh, I once in a while will look on Instagram, so I looked up the community center, and they have like an Instagram page, but no posts yet. So can we start posting on Instagram as well as Facebook? For maybe, people who aren't so Facebook cool.
For the non-volleyball crowd.
Yeah, the non-volleyball crowd. Because I really want to do this gnome hunt, but I'm just not good. I'm not a Facebook person.
Yeah,
Going to just be on the website? That's where you have to update it then.
yeah. It gets interesting. There's a lot of different platforms.
Yeah, I
Then
know.
there's Twitter and,
But they're both Meta, they're exactly the same.
Yeah.
Are they?
Yeah.
If you
Yeah,
post
because
on
can't you like hit, I want to post to both or
I don't
something?
think that they have I don't know how easy it is if you're making a Facebook post to pull it over. I know on Instagram it's stupid easy, but they're both Meta. They
Yeah.
still all know where you live and what you eat.
Yeah,
Just you talking about it, populated an Instagram page.
tomorrow.
You'll
Like,
have
can
an
we ask
email
Kevin about
automatically.
this? Kevin, right?
That's really good for us to know. I mean, I'll take that back to our staff and we can certainly look into that. I mean, obviously, we want to promote our stuff.
Yeah, because then
As
we could
much as
have
we
posts
can and-
about volleyball on there, and like, like look what's happening at the community center. Like
Need
this
to
is
do
cool.
TikToks.
That's
So-
why that's how we get to the youths,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Yes, yes.
Look at there's
Yeah.
free pizza at the community center, and someone posted on Instagram, and like everyone's there.
Advertise the commission on TikTok and Instagram.
Yeah, there you go.
That'd be fun.
So yeah,
Georgianne?
I enjoyed going out to visit the ice fishing contest. I have, for my entire life, continued to wonder why anyone would do this. But, just going out, and I did not partake, but just fun to see how much fun other people were having. Clearly, other people do enjoy it, and lots of wide variety of different types of people's ages, kids and parents and grandparents, and they seemed to really enjoy it, and it was fun. It was a nice sunny weather. It was cold, but I admire the fact that they do this every year, and that people actually go out and enjoy it. It's fun to see.
That's it? I had the opportunity to get invited to a focus group to review some of the facilities in the city. There was 12 of us, and we went around, and we went to the municipal service building first and toured that, and they explained the condition of the building and the size of the building and some of the needs that they have, and they've got a real need for, expansion. They've got, $3 million plus of equipment that sits out all the time. They just don't have enough room to the thing, and it looks like there could be an opportunity there to move some of the gravel and salt piles that they've got on the property to some off-site location and build some more facilities there on the building, so that doesn't sound too awful. The fire station, they're looking to add some training center and a few other things. And then we went to the police station, and it is the one that really needs help. I mean, when they first opened it up, they had a detention cell in the facility. Shortly thereafter, they changed the rules on what you needed for a detention cell. They never upgraded. So now they don't have that capability at all, so everybody that needs to be detained has to go over to county, to the sheriff. And the facilities themselves are just way outdated and old and need help. To give you an example, they've got 9 patrol cars. They have space in their garage for 2. Everything else stays out on the street.
Yep.
And it's, the whole facility just really needs help. Okay, so the group decided that was certainly the #1 priority in the city to, concentrate on that and get them some help. And it's starting to deter candidates for police jobs. So it needs help. And we went through the city hall here too. And it needs some improvement, but if the police move out and if the library finds a new home like it's planned to, there won't be any need for new facilities here. It'll just be inside renovation. In the police station, what they would really like to do is co-locate the police station with the fire station, that it's the most central part in the city. And apparently there's enough land there to do it. And most of the calls that the police get to go out, the fire comes with them, you know? So you see the emergency vehicles going with them all the time, so it's a natural. So it's just gonna take some money, and, you know, some of the council member are gonna have to stand up and raise their hand and say, we gotta have taxes, we need to do this. It's really important for us going forward. But the buildings are just old, and they need some tender loving care.
Did you see, I want to call out quickly, the Met Council did award 1.9 million for the City Square project.
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, that was, that came out a few days ago. The Met Council awarded Chaska 1.9 million. We were granted the most of any project.
That is very, very cool.
Fabulous.
It's fast too, because we didn't expect that until spring, that decision. So that's good, so,
Hopefully will help.
yeah, and so, you know, as a park group, we're moving along, and city's going strong and moving along, so things are going well. Marcia, you got anything else for us?
I don't think so.
Mary? Jerry? You good? Last item is to adjourn. Is there any comments, anything else we want to discuss? If not, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Zach, second?
Second.
Georgianne, all those in favor?
Aye.
Council is adjourned. Thanks.